Hey everyone, in this video we're gonna learn about two different things. One is how to install OpenAlgo in Ubuntu server and the Ubuntu server architecture and what is happening when you are installing inside Ubuntu. So what are the configuration which is happening, which will be helpful for you to troubleshoot if you're gonna run OpenAlgo in your own private domain. So let's continue with the session. So we are going to host in Vultr Mumbai data center. So let me go to vultr.com and then I'll install OpenAlgo. Mm, First, I'll show you in Linux server, and also later on I'll show you in Windows server as well. How to install in Windows server also. So what I'll do, I'll just destroy the existing server. We're gonna install fresh, right? So completely we're gonna install fresh. I'll go and create and I'm gonna deploy a new server over here. I'm gonna click on deploy, and then I'm gonna click on deploy a new server. This is in Vultr. Vultr has GPUs and CPUs. Particularly in Mumbai, they provide. So what we need is we need a Mumbai server over here. So I'm going to take a regular 2 GB RAM itself, more than enough. But for current setup, I'm going to take an 4 GB setup, which is going to cost approximately around $36. Then I'm going to configure the software. So first thing is I need to ensure that I need to go to the Ubuntu version. I'll go and select some latest version over here. And then I'm gonna click on deploy. So that's gonna ensure that it's Mumbai server. So at least minimum 2 GB RAM. So bare minimum 2 GB RAM is what required to run OpenAlgo. Uh, 4 GB also, it's okay. I don't think anything more than a 4 GB is required because it's a single instance. You can also run multiple instances of OpenAlgo also, right? Maybe tomorrow I'll show you the multiple instance OpenAlgo. So I'm gonna deploy it. That's creating an instance. So this instance deployment is going to take at least somewhere around 1 to 2 minutes. The instance will be deployed and it is going to give us a static IP. And using that static IP and password, we can log into the application and we can install OpenAlgo. I want to show you the procedure over here. So the installation for server installation, you can go and see from here. So this is if you go to the video here, under the installation guideline, there is a Ubuntu server installation is there. So here is the setup. So you need to come up with a domain name. So you may have to purchase some domain name over here. Without domain name also, you can install it. But for time being, I'm going to show you with domain name, right? So in my case, I configured my domain name under Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is where I had kept my domain. The OpenAlgo domain itself, I'm going to keep it over here. So I'm going to create a new domain, right? So let's call that domain as ami.openalgo.in. Let's go to the list of domains. So from the list of domains, I'm going to select OpenAlgo. And then I'll go and ensure that I'll go and get the DNS. So from the DNS, I have to configure the subdomain. So let me add a record. I'm going to add a record over here. And subdomain name is ami.openalgo.in. I'm inside openalgo.in, so I'm going to create a record called ami. So that's going to create an ami.openalgo.in. So here we are having an IPv address. So this IPv address is going to point to my server, right? So here is my server IP. You can see that this is the IP that I'm going to map it over here, right? So that creates ami.openalgo.in and it maps to my server, right? So what we are trying to do, I'll explain. So I'll go to draw.marketcalls.in. So basically we are having our server. That server IP is nothing but this is our Ubuntu server, which is in Mumbai. Ubuntu server. This is where we're going to run or we're going to host OpenAlgo. OpenAlgo. This is where we're going to host. It's a Linux server. And my application, right? So basically, my AmiBroker is going to run from here. my AmiBroker. As I said, it's going to run from Bangalore. That's my existing setup. And in between, we are having a Cloudflare. The Cloudflare is going to act like a security mechanism. So the Cloudflare contains the A record. My A record is mapped to the server. A record is mapped to the server. So this is where this is happening. This is happening in the Cloudflare. Cloudflare is one of the, I would say like Cloudflare play the monopoly in terms of web security. They provide web security over here. So means anybody is trying to access ami.openalgo.in from their browser. Let's say here is my browser. Imagine this is going to be my browser here. Browser. In my browser, I'm going to type, let's say I'm going to type ami.openalgo.in. ami.openalgo.in. So I'm going to go through the route of Cloudflare, and from there I'm going to reach the server. My browser will always see the Cloudflare IP only. Maybe the Cloudflare IP could be something like 143.23.45.12131. So my browser always see this IP only. My browser will have no idea where the server is, right? But when I am placing orders to the broker, right? So the broker order will be, let's say here is my broker. Here is my broker. I will be communicating directly to my broker. From the order will be originating directly from my Ubuntu server to the broker server, right? That is how it happens. But what if I'm going to communicate using AmiBroker? Like I'll be directly, I'm not going to use the IP. I'll be using the ami.openalgo.in only. So it will be, I have to do a login, right? Once the login is done, I'll be accessing the APIs. Even the APIs will be routed through the Cloudflare, right? So API will be routed to the Cloudflare, and then from Cloudflare it goes to Ubuntu server, and from Ubuntu server, order will be placed directly from the broker to, server to the broker. And my broker always sees my IP only, right? Only my broker sees my IP, nobody else, even not my AmiBroker. AmiBroker also, if I try to do a sign in via browser, I'll see this IP. Even if I'm going to call the API also, I'll be seeing this IP only, the Cloudflare IP only. So the Cloudflare IP is going to provide the web security for us. Web security. Will it add any extra millisecond if you ask me? Absolutely no, right? So Cloudflare is like, um, they've been providing CDN kind of services across the globe. So if I am accessing the Cloudflare, I'll be accessing the nearest server. Let's say the nearest server is in Mumbai. So then I'll be accessing the Mumbai's Cloudflare server, or maybe Chennai's Cloudflare server. Depends upon where my location in India is. So this is what is going to happen. So now we have this cloud, the setup is ready, right? Now what we have to do is like we have to configure OpenAlgo. So let's go and configure the OpenAlgo. I'm going to copy this IP address. Let me click on that cloud instance. So I'll be having the IP address also. Along with that, I'll be having the password also. The username for the Linux machine is root, and password is so and so. So let's go and log into the machine. So better I'll go and pull up a Windows terminal. So here I'll say like I'm going to do an SSH. SSH is like a kind of a command to log into the any Linux application. SSH root @ so root is a username followed by that we have to give the IP address. So that will be first time asking for a fingerprint. I'm going to say like yes. Second time onwards is not going to ask. Now it is asking for a password. So I'm going to copy the password and then I'm going to paste it over here. Then type enter. So that will be making me to get into my Vultr server, right? So if you could see like -m, I'll be able to see that it's an 4 GB RAM, right? So it's a 4 GB RAM machine, and let me clear it out. Now what we are going to do is like we are going to install OpenAlgo. So installation of OpenAlgo is pretty simple. So once this A record configuration is done, right? Next thing is like you have to ensure that you log into SSH. We had already done with that SSH root @IP, which is what we had done. Then I have to copy this command that will be installing OpenAlgo. I mean, it will be installing the script for OpenAlgo. By nothing it's gonna do. So it installs something called install.sh. If I type ls, you see that an shell script, an installation shell script will get installed. It contains a lot of commands to install OpenAlgo and OpenAlgo supported parameters. So now I'm gonna run the installation script. So that's the only thing that we're gonna do here. So install the script and then run the script. So first time when you are in running the script, it's gonna ask whether you want to set your time to IST time. Obviously, you have to say like yes, and it is gonna ask for a subdomain, which is like ami.openalgo.in, right? And then it's gonna ask for the broker name. I'm gonna give like Dhan, and ensure that if some certain broker, you have to copy this callback and then you have to paste it. Maybe something like broker like Zerodha, Fires, Upstocks, you may have to copy it and then you have to configure your API key and API secret key. In case of Dhan, it is not required. In case of Angel, it is not required. Grow also, it is not required. But certain brokers in their developer portal, they will be asking for a callback. In that case, you have to use this as a callback, right? So in case of Dhan, it is pretty straightforward. Let me again go to the Dhan portal itself. Yep. I have to get my API key, which is my profile client ID. I'll paste it. And then API secret, which is the lengthier one, which I'm gonna copy it from the one which we had created some time back. Anyways, I had already copied over here, right? Enter. So that will be starting the installation process. And now this installation process will be running for like what? Approximately it will be running for 3 to 4 minutes, by the way. So what's the time now? Time is like 18:38. So probably another 3 to 4 minutes, the installation will be completely done. So it will be installing all the supported files which is required, supported software which is required for installing Python. And along with that, it will be installing the virtual environment using UV method. It's one of the fastest method, by the way. And then it downloads OpenAlgo. It configures the env file. It installs Nginx. So a lot of things it'll be doing over here. So all you have to do is like just OK. And once everything is done, your hosting will be completely done over here. I'll show you what exactly is happening in the background, right? So maybe let it do the configuration. Then I'll explain what are the things it is installing, what are the components it is installing. A lot of major components it is installing. It's installing a firewall. It's configuring a firewall. In fact, it is also configuring an um, Nginx as well. Nginx we call as a reverse proxy. It's pretty straightforward. It is installing the UV package manager, which is required to run OpenAlgo. So shell script is basically an automation script. Like instead of running commands one by one, right? We will be giving all the commands in a sequence and it'll be executing in a sequence. So it is installing all the libraries of OpenAlgo. Already downloaded OpenAlgo also. Right? It's installing Gunicon and then it's running Gunicon. It's getting the SSL certificate. That's the final step. If this is successful, then ami.openalgo.in will be ready. Hopefully, it will be ready. It's taking a little bit of time, but yeah, it's deploying the certificate as well, which means more or less everything is done. So which means the deployment is done, which means if I go and try ami.openalgo.in, I should be able to see this, that my application is running ready, and it's always running 24/7 in the background. Right, so I'll log in. First time I have to go and set up my login ID. So whoever setting up, they are the admin. So ensure that you set up pretty faster and create the account. Right, so I'll continue to log in and I'll enter my login ID and then password. This is my OpenAlgo login ID and password. And then it recognizes the Dhan broker account. Then connect to the account, automatically you'll be logging into your application, right? So what are the things that we had installed? That's what I'm going to explain over here. Probably I never explained in any of my session in a very comprehensive manner, but I'll take this time to explain. So imagine this is my Ubuntu server, right? This is my Ubuntu server. And at the gateway, we'll be having this Nginx proxy. So what we'll be having here is like we'll be having an at the gateway, we will be having a firewall, probably. Let's call that as like a UFW firewall. It's an inbuilt firewall which comes inside a UFW firewall. That's an inbuilt firewall component of Ubuntu server itself. So here we're using Ubuntu. It's a Linux distro. 25.02 is what we are using. That's the latest version. Any version you can install, 23, 22, 24, 25 is the latest version, by the way. Like Windows 2000, or Windows XP, or Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 11, something like that, Ubuntu 25.02. And the firewall automatically, it configures. So the firewall allows only certain port only. It will allow you to connect from your terminal. Let's say this is my terminal. From my terminal, I want to connect from my Bangalore terminal. So this is my terminal here. This is my terminal. I'm accessing OpenAlgo server. So from my terminal, if I want to connect to OpenAlgo, I will be communicating in a certain port called port 22. Port 22. So port 22 is specially designed for SSH. So we'll be opening up that particular port to ensure that we can always connect via terminal to access OpenAlgo command line. We can access the files, we can delete the files, we can log into the server basically. Right? For that, for the SSH purpose, we enable port 22. And we also enable two more different ports like port 80 and port 443. That is where the OpenAlgo will be open up to the browser and APIs. So we'll be opening up port 80 and 443. Port 80 and 443 will be opening up. So this particularly, we use this for connectivity with the Cloudflare. So let's say I'm having an connectivity with the Cloudflare here. Cloudflare generally we use for two different purposes, right? So one is for accessing the browser. From the browser I want to access, I'll be using it from my browser. And another one is like from the for accessing the API itself. So we'll be accessing using the API also, OpenAlgo API also. For that purpose also, we'll be using the Cloudflare mechanism only. So here we'll be accessing OpenAlgo API. And we'll be accessing the OpenAlgo dashboard. We'll be logging into the OpenAlgo, right? So OpenAlgo dashboard. So this we'll be logging into the OpenAlgo dashboard or OpenAlgo UI. In other words, we can say like OpenAlgo UI, user interface, or in other words, is dashboard, which will be logging it from our browser. So here, when it is when we are allowing it, it comes the query will be coming into Ubuntu server. So inside Ubuntu server, we'll be having Nginx proxy that is going to act like a web server. So we'll be having something called Nginx proxy, GNX proxy. So which is what it knows that where your OpenAlgo is residing, which folder it is residing. So everything it knows that, let's say your OpenAlgo is installed in a certain path, it connects to that path, right? It connects to that path. Let's say this is the path your OpenAlgo is installed. I'm just giving a higher level architecture. Basically, it knows the Nginx proxy when it knows when the query is coming from ami.openalgo.in, which is configured in your Cloudflare, ami.openalgo.in. When it is configured, right, it knows the Nginx proxy knows that, hey, the query is coming for ami.openalgo.in, so I have to redirect to OpenAlgo. So that particular OpenAlgo I have to redirect. Maybe you may have multiple instances of OpenAlgo also. Maybe let's say you're having one more, let's call this like OpenAlgo instance 1, which is ami.openalgo.in. This is like ami.openalgo.in. And let's say like this is like another OpenAlgo which is deployed. Let's call this like demo.openalgo.in. So the Nginx proxy is the one which knows which one to connect when, right? So it basically, the query is incoming for ami.openalgo.in. So basically it connects, the Nginx proxy connects to that particular ami.openalgo.in. And we also have something called system D. So there is a system D is there. System D. Now this is the one which keeps the OpenAlgo running 24/7. So this what the job of system D is like. It uses Gunicon. So the system D, it uses a Python package called Gunicon. So it keeps running the application 24/7. So which application? The OpenAlgo application, whatever that we had configured. So that particular exact application will be running 24/7. So keep running the app 24/7. Even if you are closing your server also, or even if you are rebooting your server also, automatically the system D will be restarting the OpenAlgo, and it ensures that ami.openalgo.in is always running. And then we also have one more component, a very interesting component called a certbot. Certbot. So the job of the certbot is to provide HTTPS connectivity. So if you could see that, I'm just getting an HTTPS access. It says like secure connection. Connection is secure, and it's having an HTTPS security with the free certification. The free certification we are getting it from certbot. Right? The certbot is what is providing the certification. So it provides security. So it provides end-to-end security. So all your queries, whatever that you are sending, all your passwords, anything that you are transmitting over the network will be completely secure. So the HTTPS provide what? HTTPS certificate, and it's free of cost only, and it also automatically renews that as well. So every 6 months once, I think the certificate will expire. So the certbot will also have an automated mechanism to automatically renew it. So that certbot will handle it. You don't need to worry about it. So once you install, and you can start using OpenAlgo. That's it. So this is what it is happening inside OpenAlgo. So you have any questions about it? Anybody having any questions about it, they can ask. If you're clear, please type clear. But this is what at a higher level which is happening inside OpenAlgo, particularly inside servers. Akshay, Ashish, Kiran, Parth. So you guys are clear? Okay, Parth says clear, Kiran says clear. Akshay is saying seems complicated, need to study more. Of course, it's not complicated, right? So a lot of things are happening. You don't need to worry about all those things. That's what my point is. You just install it, follow the procedure, follow the documentation, you're done. But I'm just trying to explain what are the things that is installing inside that, what are the things which is happening over here, right? So a lot of things are happening over here. Of course, now we also have an log directory also. So we'll be having more components. We'll be having a database. So OpenAlgo has its own database, right? OpenAlgo has its own database. It also has its own DB. has its own DB. So in a separate DB folder, a DB will be installed, and we also have a log folder also, a separate log folder. So if you want to store the logs also, you can store the logs in a text format, you can store it. These are some of the new features that we had implemented. Right. So of course, all these things are required to run OpenAlgo in a Linux server. Windows server, it's pretty easy and simple. When you're running in Windows server, what you have to do is like you have to do a completely different method. So maybe tomorrow I'll show you Windows method because it's very simple. You don't need to know any of these firewalls, no Nginx proxy, no third bot. But you will be able to host everything inside Windows Server itself, right? So like how I'm running in my local machine, likewise you can run in Windows Server. But the problem with the Windows Server is like it's very costlier, right? Windows Server is very costlier and Linux Server is very, very cheaper. How much costlier if you ask me? Typically compare with your Linux server, another $25 they will be charging for a Windows license. So maybe let's say my Linux server is like $20. Maybe for the same configuration, your Windows will be like 20 plus 25, so $45 will be coming up. So that's slightly a higher fee will be charged if you're going to use an Windows server, right? So that's the maybe tomorrow I'll show you the configuration in tomorrow's session. But yes, this is what happening at a higher level, right? So basically my point, what I want to say is like there is a firewall to protect. So means unnecessarily nobody can log into your application. And yeah, so it's completely secure because we have a Cloudflare. So Cloudflare is itself, it provides security for your application, right? And Gunicon runs your application 24/7, and all the logs and database will be always collected. So all your master contract will be sitting in the database. If in case if you want to access logs, so there is a facility to enable logs too. You can write it to a file. So here you can say like in the env file, we have a configuration like let's say like, so there's a log2 file. By default it is false. If you change it to true, then logs will be returned to the file as well. So there'll be a /log file will be there. Inside the log file, the logs will be collected, right? So it will keep on collecting those logs as well constantly. So all those things, all those features that you'll be getting it just by installing those server commands. And it's not going to take not more than 3 to 4 minutes. As I said, 3 to 4 minutes, then the complete installation is done. And we are live with OpenAlgo. Now, once it is done, right? So now we're going to test it out. So how we can test it out? Maybe some sort of button trading module. Get the API key, right? Copy the API key and then go to the documentation. From here, you can scroll down, go to the AmiBroker. So you'll be finding all these button trading modules, right? So I'm going to take one of the button trading modules. I'm going to copy it. I'll pull up my AmiBroker. I'll open up a new formula. And this button trading module itself, if you could see that, it is using the legacy buttons is what it is using. It's not using the modern day buttons. File save as. I'm going to put this inside masterclass advanced day 02. Open up. I'll say like AmiBroker button trading module, right? Now I'm going to click on apply. So you'll be having this button trading modules. Right click parameter, go and set the API key over here. This is the API key which I got from OpenAlgo. So here is my OpenAlgo. My OpenAlgo is running in ami.openalgo.in with the HTTPS. So that's my host server. I'm not running locally right now. I'm running in my server. And then we have this OpenAlgo API key. So that OpenAlgo API key is what exactly I'm going to copy it. And then I'm going to paste it over here. And let's say I want to send an order for, right now I'm going to do it for MCX instrument, right? Let's say I'll select MCX. Gold petal is what I'm going to do because right now gold petal is what running. So if in case if you are not sure about the symbol, you can always go to the search section, go to the exchange, select MCX. and type hold petal FUT. You should be end up getting an hold petal futures 31st July. So copy the symbol. So remember, not the broker symbol. Broker symbol could be completely different, and you always have to ensure that you're using the OpenAlgo symbol only, right? So and enable the algo mode. Right. So if at all, I'll try to go to the log section, enable the log, go to the trace, one-time configuration again, ensure that internal and external both logs are enabled. Click on the buy button. So it's not placing the order. Why is it so? What I missed it? What I'm missing? Is my AP key is correct? Sometimes you should not be saving any spaces. All those things should not be there. Yeah, there is a trailing slash is there. That there should not be any trailing slashes with your host URL. Let's say. Yeah, so the order is getting placed over here. See that I'm sending a request, I'm sending a response as well. So the response is pretty clear. I'm just getting the response. This entire response, I'm getting it from my server itself. So now what is happening from my AmiBroker? So basically, here is my AmiBroker. Here is what we are having AmiBroker, right? We are having AmiBroker. My AmiBroker is invoking a request to OpenAlgo API, which is nothing but ami.openalgo.in. It goes through Cloudflare. From here, it reaches the port 8443. Typically, 443 is where the HTTPS function. And it goes to the Nginx proxy. It goes to the OpenAlgo. And then from OpenAlgo, it goes to the broker also. So from the OpenAlgo, it fires the order and it reaches the broker server. So here, let's say here is my broker server. It places the order, right? And all these things are happening in a matter of a few milliseconds. How many milliseconds, if you want to calculate, probably there is a way we can go and calculate it. We can go to the latency monitor and check. Like it is taking entire round trip is taking like 243 milliseconds, which means from my AmiBroker, which is in Bangalore, my AmiBroker is in Bangalore. It goes to the OpenAlgo API, it goes to Cloudflare, goes to the OpenAlgo, checks which broker it is. It ensures that it's done. So it's communicating with the done broker. So it knows that OpenAlgo configuration knows that is the done broker. So it directly goes and configure with the done broker here. So let's call this like done broker. And done is giving a reverse confirmation, and it's completely coming in a reverse confirmation is happening over here. So it's a reverse confirmation is happening, right? And that reverse confirmation is sent to the via Cloudflare. I'm accessing back. So the broker response, I'm getting it back. And that broker response is what you're seeing over here. The entire time, the entire round trip is taking like 243 milliseconds. Entire round trip is taking how much? 243, I think roughly 243, right? 247. So 247 millisecond is what it is taking over here. I mean, 231. When the success message, 231 millisecond. So 231. So I hope you learned something new in this session. So we'll catch up with some other session with more interesting content. Thank you. Bye-bye.